and then we can get started with today's mobility session. There we go. Giving me a little bit of trouble. All right. So today we are going to be utilizing a mat as well as a foam roller. And today we're actually also going to be using a trigger point ball. Any small ball will work, even if you don't have a specific trigger point ball. If you have a foam ball, a tennis ball, anything like that can work. And if you don't have a foam roller or a trigger point, that's completely fine. We won't be using those for the entire session, but they are great tools to use for mobility work. So let's go ahead and get started. Per usual, we are going to start out with our foam roller today. I always like to do some release techniques before we start stretching muscles, activating muscles, all of that good stuff. So kind of our focus for today, we're going to be focused on stretching out and mobilizing a lot of the muscles and joints that you'll find on the front side of the body, on the anterior side. So you're talking chest, the front of your shoulders, your hip flexors, a lot of areas that get tight and can limit your mobility. So we're going to work to loosen those up a bit today using a couple different techniques. So we're going to start out with our foam roller. I'm going to start by foam rolling the quads. And so the quads, that's just the front of your thigh. We are going to place our foam roller down on the mat. And then I am just going to be placing one side of my body on the foam roller at a time. So I'm going to start out by foam rolling my left quad. And so I'm just going to let the right side of my body hang off of the foam roller. And then you can kind of use your arms to prop yourself up. And then what we're going to start doing is just slowly rolling from right underneath your hips all the way down to right above your knee. And you want to go nice and slow. You can take your time with this. And also, whenever we foam roll, anytime you're foam rolling, you don't have to actively be rolling or moving the entire time. You can just find a spot that is exceptionally tight or tender, and then just hold in that spot for a few seconds. Whenever we release that pressure, it's going to help release that tension a little bit that those muscles might be holding. All right, let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So now I'm going to do my right leg, my right quad. And then I'm going to hang the left side of my body off of the ground. You can kind of use those arms to help roll you. You can prop that opposite leg up to help roll you if you need. And again, just kind of explore the full length of that muscle. And if you hit any points that are tight, are tender, that you can really feel that pressure on, then go ahead and just hold there. And then hold that pressure on the spot. And you want there to be significant pressure on the muscle, but it doesn't need to be painful. All right, very nice job. All right, next up, we're going to do the same thing, but a little bit higher up. We're going to go to our hip flexors. And so the hip flexors can basically be found if you put a bend in your leg. They can basically be found at that crease in between your hips and the top of your leg. Those are where we're going to kind of be targeting. So I'm going to start out on the left side of my hips. And you won't have to roll nearly as much. These aren't going to be as big and as long as the quads. So you really can use this as an opportunity to just kind of drive your hips down into the foam roller. And you want to just slightly shift your hips to the side a little bit. I'm doing the left side, so if I am rotated too far to the left, then I can feel my hip bone digging into the foam roller. You want to make sure that you're never foam rolling bone. So if you feel that hip bone, then just slightly shift over to the right a little bit. All right, we've held that for a few seconds. Now we're going to go on to the other side. Now I'm hitting my right side. Those hip flexors can get really, really tight, especially if you spend a good amount of time sitting in the day. Those kind of get, those hip flexors get shortened from being in that seated position for so long. So it's good to put some pressure on those, tell those hip flexors to relax a little bit. Great job. All right. So go ahead and place your foam roller to the side. We are done with that. Next up, I'm going to grab, I'm using a tennis ball, any sort of rubber ball, foam ball, anything around this size is good. I like the tennis ball because it has a little bit more give to it than just like a rubber ball would. But anyways, we are going to use this to basically roll like we did on the foam roller, but some more targeted points. So I'm going to start out on my chest. I'm going to start on the right side of my chest. So I've got my ball in my left hand, and then I'm just going to slowly press down and roll the length of my chest. So basically from the front of my shoulder, I'm going to go down at a diagonal because that is the basically the striation, the pattern, the way in which the muscle runs. And I'm just going to roll up and down that point. If you find any tender spots, then you can just hold or just roll in that area. Might even feel a little bit of knots once you get down underneath your armpit. Feel free to roll that area. Start to shift that up towards your collarbone, right below your collarbone. That can get pretty tight, pretty tender. Nice job. Next up, I'm going to go to the front of my shoulder. So I'm going to roll on the muscle tissue that's right below the actual joint. If you feel bone, then go ahead and shift that ball down. We want to be rolling muscle tissue, not the bone itself. All right, nice job. Now I'm going to take the ball in my right hand, and I'm going to roll up and down the left side of my chest. Go nice and slow. Again, if you find any tight, tender spots, hang out there, put some additional pressure on those areas. Nice job. Go ahead and go up to the front of your left shoulder. Place pressure, roll that out. Make sure you're not pressing down on bone. Great job. All right, fantastic. You can go ahead and put that to the side. We are done with that. We're going to move on to some stretching or lengthening of the muscle. So we're going to start out on a quad stretch. And so, get rid of this thing. I'm going to start out on a quad stretch, and I'm going to do a sideline quad stretch. So you can lie down completely on your side. I'm starting out on my left side. So now I'm just going to grab my right foot, put a nice big bend in my leg, on that right leg. Now I'm going to hold. So we are stretching out that right quad. Now you want to make sure that you're keeping pretty much a straight back. It's very easy that whenever you pull that leg back that you get kind of an arch in your back. We don't want that arch in our back. We're going to lose the stretch if we do that. But if you tighten your glutes and keep a straight back, then the further back you pull that leg, the more of a stretch you're going to feel in the quads. So we're going to hold this for just a few seconds. Something else we're going to add in. We are going to get a little bit deeper into this stretch by activating our hamstrings. So what I want you to do is while you're holding this position, think about trying to drive your heel into your backside. So you want to drive your heel in towards your body by contracting your leg. We're going to be contracting those hamstrings. That's going to help us relax the quads that we're stretching just a little bit more. So drive that heel down into your backside, tight as you can, and release. Nice job. All right, now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So now I am on my right side, grabbing my left foot. I'm going to get a nice big stretch. My left quad. So now we're just going to hold here for a few seconds. Anytime we're doing like a lengthening stretch, a static stretch where we're not actively moving through, you want to give enough time holding that position to allow the muscle time to stretch out, to lengthen. All right, now go ahead. Let's do the same things we did on the other side. Think about driving your left heel into your backside by squeezing your leg tight as you can. Drive that heel down. You might not actually move your heel anywhere because of the crazy position that we've got it in right now. But just trying to do that is going to contract the muscles that we're looking for. Keep squeezing, tight as you can. And release. Very nice job. All right. Next up, we're going to go into a kneeling hip flexor stretch. And I'm going to just roll up my mat a little bit. That way I've got a little bit of a cushion for my knee. But I'm going to put my left knee down on the ground and then extend that right leg foot flat on the floor in front of me in my staggered kneeling position. And now from here, you're going to, while keeping your back straight, your chest pointed forward, you're going to drive your hips forward. And then feel that stretch in your hip flexor. I've got my right foot forward, so I'm feeling the stretch in my left side of my hips. Hold this for just a few seconds, and then we're going to add in another contraction like we just did. So what I want you to do is squeeze your glutes. You want to try to clench your glutes as tight as you can, and that is going to tell those hip flexors on the other side to relax a little bit more. So squeeze your glutes. You might feel a little bit more tension on the left side of your hips by doing that. Hold that contraction and release. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So now I'm putting my left foot forward, torso upright, chest pointed forward. Drive those hips forward. Take a couple seconds to feel the stretch. Take a couple seconds to tell those hip flexors to relax. And now, same thing. Squeeze your glutes tightly. Keep your position, but you want to squeeze and activate those glutes. Going to get a nice deep stretch on those hip flexors. Keep squeezing, keep squeezing. Nice job. All right. Next up, we're going to move to our upper body a little bit, back up to the chest. I'm going to grab my box here. And basically what I'm doing with this is I am using this as an opportunity to stretch out my chest by placing my forearm flat on the box. You can do this with a chair, with a desk, or you can do this standing upright, placing your forearm against a door frame and stepping through the door frame, getting a big stretch. So do whatever you have access to. I'm going to be using my box here. The way that I'm going to do that is by placing the forearm flat down at a 90-degree angle on the top of this box. And then I'm going to be leaning forward. That's going to be pressing my arm back behind my torso, putting a nice big stretch in my chest. Like I said before, you can do this with a chair, you can do this with a desk, any object you can place that arm up on. Or if you don't have any of those nearby, then go ahead and place that arm on a door frame and then step through. It's going to do the same thing. Hold that just a couple more seconds. Nice job. Let's do the same thing other side. Now I'm going left arm, flat down on my box, leaning forward. Feel that stretch in your chest. Hold just a few seconds. Nice job. Go ahead and relax. We're done with the chair. Next up, we are going to do an anterior front shoulder stretch. And so whenever we do this, it's going to be kind of similar to what we just did, except instead of our arm being at a 90-degree angle, we're going to straighten our arm out to the side. So go ahead, take your right arm, extend that out to your side, place your palm down on the floor, and then you're just ever so slightly going to shift, rotate your torso up onto your right side. Now, if you notice, I am just barely rotating my torso, and I already feel a pretty tight stretch in the front of my shoulders. So do not overdo it. You don't want to accidentally cause any pain in the shoulder or in the elbow from this position. So just slightly rotate that up and hold. Great job. All right, let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Now I'm taking my left arm, extend it out to your side, palm facing down. Slightly rotate that torso. And I would say if you feel any pain in your elbow from this because of the position, then you can just put a slight bend in your elbow before you rotate. Try to keep that shoulder down on the floor. If you pop that shoulder up, you're going to lose that stretch. All right. Great job. All right. So we made it through all of our stretching, lengthening movements. And very last thing for today, we're going to do an activation exercise. So we're actually going to be activating some of the muscles on the back of our body. We've been stretching out and mobilizing a lot of the muscles and joints found on the front side of our body. So we're going to activate the opposite of those, which is just going to further help the mobility of what we've been working on. So let's go ahead and lay down flat on your back. And then from here, I'm going to take my arms and I'm going to place them at about a 90-degree angle at my side. Now, you want your elbows and you want your shoulders to be in contact with the floor. Finally, you want to make sure that you are activating your core so that your lower back is in contact with the floor. You don't want an arch causing your lower back to pop up off of the ground. So once you have all of that set, what you're going to do is you are going to slowly pull your arms up overhead. And as you do so, you want to make sure that you keep your elbows and your shoulders and your wrists all in contact with the ground. If you go up so far that your elbows leave the ground, then you've reached your end of your range of motion. And so you just want to go as far as you possibly can while keeping contact with the floor with your elbows, shoulders, and lower back. If that lower back pops up off the ground, then go ahead and pull back. And we're just doing nice, slow repetitions of these. These are called floor angels. Nice job. This is a great exercise to help with posture, but also it goes really to accompany some of the other movements that we've already done today. Let's go one more. One more nice, slow, controlled floor angel. Nice job. All right. That is everything that we have for today's mobility session. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions about any of the movements that we did, feel free to reach out to me. But besides that, I hope you all have a great, great rest of your day. See you all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.